Hi guys, today at Cake Advisor we are going to make two different types of pineapple cake. The first one on the left is the classic and well-known upside down pineapple cake, and the second one is the new generation pineapple cake with a banana twist. And now let's get started. And we will start with the upside down pineapple cake. This recipe is at least 30 years old and considered to be one of the best in the world. So please subscribe, hit the like button, and let's get started. For the top of the cake, we're going to use 6 slices of pineapple. You can use or canned or fresh. By the way, you can also try this cake using apples or even peaches. We will also use 140 grams of brown sugar, 60 grams of butter, and some sweet cherries. For the cake batter, we will use 200 grams of white flour, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, quarter of the teaspoon of salt, 2 eggs, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, 80 milliliters of vegetable oil, 120 milliliters of pineapple juice, and 200 grams of white sugar. The third step is to melt together the butter and the brown sugar. Now melt all the butter and stir it for a few minutes. It's not important for the sugar to melt completely, it will melt in the baking process. And this is what we have after heating the butter and the brown sugar. Next, take an 8-inch baking pan and transfer our sugary butter on the bottom. Spread it evenly and put the pineapples into the syrup. By the way, I think that apples or even canned peaches will be a very good combination with this sugary, buttery syrup as well. After finishing placing the pineapples, set the pan aside and let's make the batter. Whisk the eggs with the sugar and the vanilla extract. Combine it with the dry ingredients and mix very well. Pour the cake batter over the pineapples. Preheat the oven to 180 Celsius degrees or 360 Fahrenheit and bake the cake for approximately 30 to 40 minutes. Every oven is different, so the best way to know when the cake is ready is just to insert a toothpick or a skewer, and if it comes out dry, your cake is ready. And here is the cake after the baking. Let it cool down for approximately 30 minutes. Go over the sides with a spatula or with a knife, just to be sure that the sides doesn't stick to the pan. And very quickly and very carefully, just flip it upside down. And here it is, the moment of truth. Let's see what we have on the top. Very beautiful caramelized pineapples. It is so sweet and buttery. And the last thing that there is to do is to put some cherries on top. You can serve it warm, you can serve it at room temperature, and it will still be delicious. By the way, you can insert the cherries before the baking, but just so you know that it's much more prettier and more tastier to put the cherries after the baking. And this is it for the classic upside down pineapple cake. And now let's get started with making the pineapple banana cake. And the second cake is a golden pineapple, which consists of banana cake filled with pineapple confit. So for this delicious banana cake, we're going to use 250 grams of flour with 10 grams of baking powder, 150 grams of sugar, 4 eggs, 50 grams of room temperature butter, and 3 ripe bananas. So first of all, we're going to mash the bananas and leave them aside. Now mix the butter with the sugar until it's light and fluffy. And then add 1 egg at a time and mix the batter together. Mix it for a few minutes until it's all mixed very well. Now we add half of the flour with the baking powder and mix again. And add the other half and mix everything very well. After the batter is mixed, we can add the bananas and mix everything for about like 3 to 5 minutes. Okay, so pour the batter into the pans. The pans are 5 inches wide, and the amount in the recipe is enough for 3 of those. Bake the cakes at 375 Fahrenheit for about half an hour or until For the pineapple confit, we'll use 200 grams of pineapple. You can use fresh or frozen, it doesn't really matter. Blend it to a smooth consistency and pour it into a pan. Boil it, and after you boil it, add 90 grams of sugar and 1 teaspoon of agar-agar powder. Boil it for another minute or so and take it off the stove. Wrap a 5-inch pan with a plastic wrap and pour the confit about 1 centimeter height. We'll need 3 of those. Now let's make the coconut cream cheese. We'll take 250 grams of cream cheese, 100 grams of icing sugar, and 200 milliliters of whipped cream. We'll mix the icing sugar and the cream cheese together until it's light and fluffy, and then add the whipped cream. Mix all together until the cream is light and fluffy, and then add 1 teaspoon of coconut extract. Okay, making the pineapple leaves. Just take a piece of white fondant and cut out some leaves. The fondant that I rolled out is about ½ centimeter thick. We will need about 4 large leaves, 4 smaller ones, and 4 really small ones. I would recommend making them one day ahead because they need to be dry, so we can stick them into the cake. So make them one day ahead and leave them to dry before you paint them. After they dry, we mix some gold luster dust with food alcohol and paint the leaves. Okay, so let's assemble the cake. This is the interesting part. Cut off the top of the cakes and cut the cakes in half. I forgot to mention that after you bake the cakes, obviously you need to let them cool down before you can assemble them. Okay, put a little bit of the cream cheese on the cake stand and put the bottom layer on. Now we're starting with 1 layer of cream cheese. On that we're putting our pineapple confit. As you see, I make a ring around the confit so the confit don't slide outside accidentally. And we put a little bit of cream cheese on top of the confit as well. It is more comfortable to put it on the cake itself rather than on the confit. And we do it the same thing with each layer. So we're going to have 3 layers total of the confit. By the way, we did bake 3 little cakes, but I ended up using only 2 of them because at the end I saw it was a little bit too high, so I only used the 2 cakes. Now take one of the cake tops and cut it a little bit to make the pineapple top, which is like a little bit round, as you know. It's not flat, so we're going to need this. Okay, so spread the excess of the cream cheese. We're cutting a little bit at the bottom as well because the pineapple is rounded at the end. Now I cover the cake with the white chocolate ganache, which is basically white chocolate compound and butter, because it's a little bit firmer than buttercream, and at this kind of cakes it's better to use white chocolate ganache. You can use white chocolate, you can use white chocolate compound, it doesn't really matter. But the white chocolate compound is a little bit more stable. Set the cake aside while you roll the fondant, and it will set very quickly. You don't even have to use the refrigerator. Now the fondant is about ½ centimeter thick. Cover the cake with it, smooth it out with the fondant smoother, cut off the excess. Now tuck the fondant under the cake. Be careful not to cut too close to the cake because the fondant has a tendency to bounce up when you cut it. Now we're going to make the pineapple pattern. I use the fondant embosser. You can use, if you don't have it, you can use a ruler as well, because basically it's just lines intersecting with each other. So it's sort of a pineapple pattern. And once again, I have my gold luster dust mixed with food alcohol, and I paint all over the pineapple. After it's all nice and gold, I do the finishing touch. Cut a little cuts on top of the pineapple and stick the dried leaves on top. First we start with the large ones, then we go with the middle ones and the smallest one at the end. So that's it for today, guys. I hope you liked the video. Leave your comments down below and let me know what you think. Don't forget to subscribe and leave thumbs up. And stay tuned for the next video where I'm going to make something I didn't see on YouTube yet. Bye!